Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers' last resort at quarterback. If Aaron Rodgers spurns them, it seems like each day bleeds into another as the Pittsburgh Steelers wait for Aaron Rodgers' final decision. Their owner, Art Rooney too, claimed that it appears Rodgers is close to signing the dotted line, but there is no clear indication if that will happen or when it might occur. The Steelers remain in a holding pattern, giving the free agent time to decide, but they won't wait forever. It seems likely that Rodgers will either sign with Pittsburgh or retire. The Minnesota Vikings are officially out of the Rodgers saga, but no one knows if they were ever involved. Many believe it's just a matter of time until the future Hall of Fame gunslinger officially signs with the Steelers. Everyone in the NFL wants this drawn-out story to end. It seems like each day bleeds into another as the Pittsburgh Steelers wait for Aaron Rodgers' final decision. Their owner, Art Rooney too, claimed that it appears Rodgers is close to signing the dotted line, but there is no clear indication if that will happen or when it might occur. The Steelers remain in a holding pattern, giving the free agent time to decide, but they won't wait forever. It seems likely that Rodgers will either sign with Pittsburgh or retire. The Minnesota Vikings are officially out of the Rodgers saga, but no one knows if they were ever involved. Many believe it's just a matter of time until the future Hall of Fame gunslinger officially signs with the Steelers. Everyone in the NFL wants this drawn-out story to end. Despite many believing that Rodgers will join Mike Tomlin's team, no one knows what happens in his head. He is hard to read, and Rodgers does things at his own pace. If a scenario occurs where the veteran quarterback doesn't join the Steelers, they will be in hot water. They can't go into next season with only Mason Rudolph as their only option. Pittsburgh could see more trade rumors come to light. If it's not Rodgers, expect Kirk Cousins' name to get thrown around in Steelers rumors. Kirk Cousins might be Steelers' last savior if Aaron Rodgers doesn't sign. Adding Cousins in a trade might not be a perfect acquisition, but it might be necessary. He is a veteran quarterback with plenty of starting experience. While Cousins is on the downswing of his career, he could rebound from a wonky performance in 2024. Sometimes, it takes an extra year to heal from an Achilles tear, much like Cousins and Rodgers showed last season. His contract would be the biggest hurdle in a potential trade. The Atlanta Falcons signed him to a massive deal when he was a free agent last offseason. They drafted Michael Penix in the first round, and he appears to be their starter moving forward. It makes little sense to keep an expensive veteran in the position if there are ways to move him. Read more: 3 biggest question marks on Steelers roster heading into the NFL draft. There is only one clear path for the Steelers and Falcons to accept a trade. Atlanta must be willing to eat most of Cousins' remaining contract. If they refuse, it makes no sense for Pittsburgh to consider this move. Another stipulation would regard the possible price to acquire this player. Since the veteran signal caller is coming off a bad year, it should only cost a late-round pick swap. The black and gold could get desperate if Rodgers declines to join them, however, so the price could end up being higher than expected. Adding Cousins to the Steelers roster for a late-round swap that requires Atlanta to pay most of his bill would be a nice fallback choice. Pittsburgh could always take a quarterback in the upcoming draft, but Steelers general manager Omar Khan has said he wants 4 players at the position by training camp. Cousins wouldn't fix their problems, but he could infuse stability into the position this season. Browns continue showing significant interest in Steelers' top quarterback draft targets while the Steelers wrap up their pre-draft visits, so do the Browns, and one can't help but notice some overlap. Set to bring in QB Shedeur Sanders, the potential second overall pick has already met with the Browns. Cleveland drafts second, while the Steelers land all the way at 21. Yesterday, the Browns also met with both Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart, 2 potential Steelers first-round quarterback targets. Between those 2 and Sanders, those are probably the only realistic options for Pittsburgh. Cleveland would have its choice of the 3, but of course, they can only draft one. Just as it appears increasingly believed that the Browns will take the best player available and not necessarily the best quarterback, the Steelers are also by no means bound to draft a quarterback. Yet even though, Cleveland seems to be tracking similar interests. Our latest video: Steelers fans are hoping that DT Derek Harmon visits the Steelers. Perhaps he will, coming fresh off a visit with the Browns nearby. Harmon is not a player they are likely to entertain at 2, but they could trade back or trade up. Much more likely, their second overall pick would focus on players like Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. The Browns have 2 third-round picks. While they have no 5th-round picks, they have 4 in the 6th, so they do have some ammunition to move around. And considering what they did to get Deshaun Watson, they're not afraid to part with future first-round picks. In other words, the Browns could trade up from 33 back into the first round to steal a player from the Steelers. Of course, the Steelers have to contend with 30 other teams in addition to the Browns, navigating the draft board. GM Omar Khan seems a bit more willing to move around than his predecessor, though it's too early to judge. While he made a modest move up in the first round in 2023, Kevin Colbert made a bigger one previously. Historically, the Bengals and the Ravens seem more likely than the Browns to draft players Steelers fans hoped for. Cleveland has had a less successful history in the draft, to say the least, but not without some hits. Following the Watson failure, both the Browns and the Steelers are looking for a franchise quarterback. Cleveland might not want Sanders second overall, but what about somewhere in the teens? Certainly, if he were to fall all the way to 33, they might jump on him. But in order for that to happen, he would have to slide past the Steelers, too. NFL rumors: Mike Florio claims some believe Aaron Rodgers still prefers Vikings over Steelers. The Aaron Rodgers saga continues as the 4-time MVP winner has yet to sign with a new team. After being released by the New York Jets, Rodgers is firmly in the mix for the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback gig. However, rumors suggest he may still prefer playing for the Minnesota Vikings instead. There's speculation that the 41-year-old quarterback may make his announcement on Wednesday at Pat McAfee's event in Pittsburgh. It would be quite the spectacle that puts Aaron Rodgers into the spotlight ahead of the NFL draft. But Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk hints at the idea that some believe Rodgers is waiting to see what the Vikings do with J.J. McCarthy. Some still believe he's waiting to see whether the Vikings will decide to pivot from J.J. McCarthy, and that he prefers Minnesota to Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers was originally rumored to be in the running for the quarterback job for the New York Giants and Cleveland Browns. However, both teams have seemingly closed the door on potentially signing the former Super Bowl-winning quarterback. The Steelers seem to be the only team still interested in Rodgers at this time. The Vikings are likely to give McCarthy the starting job after selecting him with the number 10 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. But after the former Michigan Wolverine quarterback suffered a season-ending injury, it's possible Minnesota wants to give him another year of developing on the bench before giving him the starting reins. Florio also claims the option for Rodgers to call it a career is still an option on the table. Additionally, signing Aaron Rodgers isn't a long-term solution for the Steelers either, so there's a possibility the franchise will select a quarterback early in the upcoming draft. There's still a chance Rodgers will retire. Will he make a decision before the draft? The Steelers need a young quarterback, with or without him. Besides, coach Mike Tomlin has called training camp the line of demarcation. Aaron Rodgers finished the 2024 season with 3,897 passing yards, 28 passing touchdowns, and 11 interceptions while throwing a 63% completion percentage. He played all 17 games for the Jets and led the team to a 5-12 record. New York enters the 2025 NFL Draft with the number 7 overall and signed Justin Fields as Rodgers' replacement in free agency. Benedetto Vitali has nearly a decade of experience in sports journalism, with expertise in covering the NFL, NCAA football, NBA, and UFC. The Oregon alumni resides in Greenville, South Carolina, and has previous bylines at Bro Bible. Are you a fan? What do you think of Aaron Rodgers' situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.